Welcome back to Jets, Mets, and Regrets. I have my wonderful Homer co-host here with me, Jason.
What is up, Rick? How are we doing today on this beautiful, sunny Arizona Monday? It's not Sunday anymore. I forgot about that. Monday evening.
Cannot complain. It's probably not quite as beautiful here in Illinois as it is there, but we did get on the golf course today, so I can't
Okay.
complain too
I
much.
mean, I don't want to say anything yet. Probably not as beautiful, but you said it, not me first. But how do you shoot? How did you shoot? What did it look like?
Nope, +6.
All right. I mean, Tiger Woods ain't even shooting that nowadays, so we're in a good spot.
Short game was doing fine. I don't think I hit a single decent shot off a tee. So
All right, well, I'll tell you what. Next time you come to Arizona, we'll wake up early. We'll go to the Continental and get 18 in or something.
I'm in. I'd be down for that.
I'm not that good either, but whatever. We'll do it.
There's always Top Golf.
Oh, there's always top golf too. That is true.
All right. Well, hey, today we are going to talk our top three Mets moments. And we both kind of took the angle that we were going to do this for things that we actually remembered. I know there's a lot of history, but if you didn't experience it yourself, you don't have that same attachment to it.
Exactly. I mean, with the Mets, you could pick 1969, the first World Series in their history. Obviously, 86, huge World Series, beating Boston, ball going under the legs of Buckner, Mets down to their final out in Game 6. Tons of great moments. But yeah, I think it's just really good to keep it at what I've actually experienced in my lifetime. It just hits home more personally, and I actually went through these emotions. So, you ready for it?
Yeah. Why don't you start us off?
Let's do it. And this isn't in any particular order. I'm just going to give my top three. I haven't really ranked them before or ranked them yet, but this is my top three moments. Number one, going to be 2015, the Mets winning the NL pennant against the Cubs. Last time they made the World Series was 2000 against the Yankees. To that point, I was pretty young then, so I remember it, but not as much as I did when it was 2015. And the cool thing about that year, the Mets were really just floating at 500 for almost the entire year. Trade deadline comes, they got a couple huge pickups, including Johan Cespedes, who just played out of his mind in August, out of his mind in September, really carried the team to the postseason. And then from there, being able to beat the Dodgers. And then, yeah, the Cubs, obviously a really, really good team, probably the favorite to make it to the World Series that year. I remember they were loaded with Chris Bryant and Javi Baez, and they had Arrieta, and I don't know, Chapman might have been in that team too. But for the Mets to go in there and just really led by the rotation. I mean, you had Syndergaard and DeGrom and Harvey, Steven Matz, and Daniel Murphy really carried that team. So yeah, not too much more to say on that, but really my first experience seeing my team make it to a championship. Nothing better than that. And to, probably being a little bit of underdogs in that series, being able to sweep the Cubs nonetheless also.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit ahead of time coming into this, so we wouldn't have too much overlap. But I actually have this one as well. Uh, I was a Cubs fan at the time. I've kind of given up on them now, but I was a big Cubs fan at the time, and that was like it really put this new look Mets on the map because they demolished the Cubs, and that was the team, right? That was the Cubs team that was supposed to go to the World Series, win the World Series, and they ended up getting there, but getting swept out by a Mets team that, like you said, was a 500 team for most of the year. That loss for me really shone a light on the Mets because it's like, all right, well, this Cubs team's got it all, and then they did not. They got beat pretty handily by the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, up until that point, until this year, probably, Mets haven't really been able to reach that level. Not World Series level, but just the level of being able to compete uh, and be favorites to make it to the playoffs or potentially make it to the World Series. So it's been nice this year to kind of see that team again. But yeah, after that year too, you were thinking like, all right, like they got Harvey, they got Syndergaard, DeGrom, like this team ain't going anywhere. But it did disappear for the last 7, 8 years until now.
It
Uh,
is really hard to string together good seasons in MLB. There's so many games.
it is, and if there's one thing I learned, I mean, pitching is obviously super important in baseball, especially come postseason. But those guys are going to get hurt. If you could trade one of those and get a bat, I mean, I know at the time the Mets could have got an arm and a leg for, a Harvey or a Syndergaard, but who would
Yeah.
have seen them getting hurt and maybe their career is not going as well as they could have. But it's a game of what ifs. It's a game of chances. So
Yeah, and you can only play your schedule, and sometimes it just breaks the way you want it to, and sometimes it really doesn't.
yeah, absolutely.
So what
Uh,
is your second one here?
bringing number two, it's going to be some call him Johan. I might call him Johan, but Johan Santana's no hitter, the first no hitter in New York Mets history. I mean, going 50 plus years without a no hitter. I mean, I thought, Rick, I was sitting there kind of like the Jets right now, where I don't know if they'll ever win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. But I'm kind of sitting there just like, damn, like all these teams have, no hitter is not easy. It's not a thing that a team's doing every year, but pretty much every team has a no hitter, maybe minus a couple. So that was just awesome, to see Johan Santana, obviously one of the best pitchers in the game in that era. Mets bringing him over from Minnesota. And a lot of people potentially blame that game on his career not going the way it could have. I know a couple years after he was hurt and kind of retired at a young age, but he said he wouldn't have done it differently. I know his pitch count was up there that game. I think it was like in the high 120s or might have even been low 130s. Have to look that one up. But yeah, just an awesome moment in history of like 2012 wasn't a great year, but it was one of those events that like even if it wasn't a great year, you had something cool to look back on as a fan of the team.
Yeah, it's nice to have those bright spots in a season that's otherwise kind of forgettable. Growing up, I know for me that was the Cubs because they sucked constantly. So like even though like Alfonso Soriano like hitting home runs all the time, and the Cubs would just lose every single game. But it was nice to have those bright spots to look to. I'm gonna hop in the Wayback Machine and talk real quickly about like when I first started getting into baseball.
Okay.
Um, September 21st, 2001, the first game back at Shea after 9/11. Nationally televised game. It's the only thing on TV. And just the emotion and the experience of all of it for me as a non-Mets fan, that's like one of my favorite Mets moments because it was nearly universal. They were the White House is like, hey, MLB, we need you to play baseball. Like America needs baseball, and to have that first game back in New York. I still remember Piazza just cranked that home run in the eighth inning to essentially to win the game, and everyone in there was a Mets fan, whether you were or weren't, and it was really cool to see. I think for me, for the first time, to see like how universal sports are. Um, and you don't have to like baseball or football, but like most people like a sport. And so to see it represent a fan base in a city and a country, like you knew the Mets were winning that game, and then they were losing, and they were losing, and they were losing, and then Piazza, who I think had an error earlier in the game, just rips a homer, and I'm like, yeah, God, this is a cool sport.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the. I didn't watch that game unfortunately. That was a little bit early on in my fandom, but yeah, I mean, that's a memory that you watch. Whenever Mike Piazza talks about some of his greatest memories, he always talks about that game. And whenever you're watching Sportsnet New York, the Mets Sportsnet channel where they have their games on, that's always one of those games that they show where they show that highlight again. So yeah, I can only imagine being there. And the players say all the time like nobody really wanted to play baseball, but that was kind of the first day where it's like, hey, let's go back to normal and forget about the outside world for 3 hours, and that's what the Mets and Piazza were able to provide, and the Braves too for showing up and being the opponent that day.
What's your third favorite Mets moment here?
So number three, fortunately the game didn't end the way I would have liked it. This might be a top three moment in St. Louis Cardinal history. But Game 7, NLCS 2006, probably since I was a fan, and I started becoming a fan in 2000, but that was more of, initial fan base. But first time the Mets were really, really good again. And they had a great team that year. I mean, they had Pedro Martinez, you had Johan Santana, lineup stack, Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado, a young David Wright, and Jose Reyes. I mean, I could go on and on about how good that team was. But unfortunately, they had a lot of injuries to starting pitching, and they ran into a really good St. Louis team. But I believe it was the top of the sixth inning, 1-1 game, and very tight games. There's a pitching duel up until that point. And a liner out to left field, ball looks like it's going out. Andy Chavez running back, reaches out with his he's a lefty, so reached out with his right hand, and one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my entire life, not only from a pure catch standpoint of robbing a home run, but just the magnitude of it being a 1-1 game still. And if you ever watch the video or look up a picture of this specific play, there was in the outfield, there was an ad and it said the strength to be here. So it was one of those cool moments where like that ad was just, and the wording on that ad was placed perfectly of like, it made sense in the moment of Andy Chavez catching that ball. And after that, you felt like it was a game changer. Like the Mets are going to go on and win it. And they didn't end up doing it, but I would say at that moment, like I can't think of that many better catches, unless obviously it was a catch in the World Series to rob a home run and potentially win a game. But yeah, that was such a cool moment in that time.
That was a good one. My last one, I'm gonna cheat just a little bit, but I'm not the Mets fan, so I'm gonna give myself a little leeway here. Pete Alonso's 2019.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was a collection of moments, right? But it was really like big time Met on the national scale, and people were interested, and people were cheering for him, and he's hitting home runs, and he's being fun, and he's having a great time with the media. So if you'll allow it, I'm going to take Pete Alonso's entire 2019 as a moment.
Oh, I will allow that 100%.
I just really liked how he kind of put himself on the map in a big way, but it was also like this reintroduction, like hey man, like this Mets team's gonna be good, and here are the pieces. See where we take it, and you're kind of seeing the payoff on that now. But it was a lot of fun. He won Rookie of the Year, and it was just fun baseball, and he seemed to really be enjoying it. So, like as a fan, being able to see that, I think every time I caught a Mets game, it's like, this kid having a good time.
Yeah, I mean that year was awesome. The cool thing about Pete Alonso, like you heard about him in the minors and how he was hitting a lot of home runs, but he was never a top prospect, so nobody really gave him the respect of like he's going to turn into a great player. Even after that rookie year, it was kind of like, all right, he might be like a 30 to 40 home run hitter, strike out a lot, bat like 230, and it's like, all right, like you'll take that sometimes, kind of like that Adam Dunn vibe, right? Of like, well,
Yeah.
his power is there, so you'll sacrifice some defense. But it's cool to see this year. I know we're not talking that much about the Mets today in terms of the present, but he's put on a great year. In my opinion, he's not even being talked about as an MVP right now, but the guy is leading the major leagues in RBIs, and he's leading the National League in home runs. So I think you'll see over the next couple of years, like he's really trying to become a complete player. And yeah, that 2019 season was the teaser or appetizer, what you call it, of hopefully what's more to come in his career.
I like to watch the guys who are enjoying themselves. It always makes it more fun.
He loves baseball. I mean, every press conference you listen to, like he loves playing the game, which is awesome. It truly is awesome.
Do you have any honorable mentions? Any other moments you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give probably to this point. I had two, but I'm gonna go. I'll mention the first one briefly, but games I've been to in my lifetime. That will be the honorable mention. Number one, I did go to the NLDS game against the Dodgers. Awesome atmosphere. That was when Met fans will know this. Chase Utley, Met villain number one for a while, not only because of Philadelphia and all the years that he kicked our butts, but then sliding hard into second base in one of the playoff games and breaking Ruben Tejada's leg. So that was just a cool atmosphere to be booing him, and you had the fuck Chase Utley chants going on, like just all of that. It was amazing. Can I say that on there? I could curse, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. I think that might have been my first curse word on Jets Messenger Grab, so just making sure we were good on that one. But yeah, my favorite one probably, or my favorite honorable mention of a game I was at was David Wright's last game. Growing up around the time he made his debut in 2005, I believe. So watching that on TV, and really, from 2005 to 2018, before he played his last game, just being able to see a homegrown player, the hype was there. The hype was real. He probably was on a trajectory of making the Hall of Fame if injuries didn't derail his career. I know in one of our first episodes, I've talked about his stats and how great of a player he was in his short time playing. But being at his last game was just a really cool feeling. Like I said, to see somebody homegrown and to kind of watching him be one of your first favorite homegrown players next to Jose Reyes. But David Wright was obviously the one who re-signed and stuck through the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of as a sport fan, an emotional time to kind of see an end of an era. But such an awesome experience to celebrate with 45,000 other Met fans, in that ballpark, all there to see that same exact thing on that given night. So yeah, that is up until this point a memory I will never forget.
All right. Well, we talked a lot of Mets, but do you have any Mets thoughts for the week?
Well, I had some Met thoughts that might go into regrets actually. So I don't know if you want to.
Okay. Well, then let's just say the Mets are in first.
They still are in first. They are. So, well, I discovered. So I went back home last week to Jersey. Saw my best friends Frank and Hannah get married. So awesome time. Great to see family and go to the wedding. But I did go to 2 Met games when I went back, Rick. And let me tell you something. The Mets went 0-2. The 2 games I was at. So I saw them win 1 in Arizona this year. So 1-2 so far. But I'm 0-2 in New York. And it went as far as some of my friends telling me if the Mets did make the World Series this year, they don't know if I should come back for a game. So
yeah, you're not allowed to be there.
Yeah. So that I had a great time going, obviously, but that could be a regret. I could be a curse at Met home games right now. So I got to be careful for that. And then I do have one more regret. I might regret this later, but I know a lot of people were like, "Hey, Jason, like how, this Curtis Martin jersey you talk about, you say it's a dress, you say like, can we see? Can we make sure you're not BSing and all that?" So Rick, real quick, I have it right here. I wanted to put it on real quick just so all of her fans could take a look and truly see how big this jersey is on me.
And then tell us again the size. What's the size of this jersey?
So this is an adult small. So I don't know how good. You'll have to tell me if you could get everything on the video or not.
Jesus.
But I don't know if the video will do justice at all. I'm not sure if the lighting's good. So we might have to do this again during the season with better lighting or something. But
it looks very roomy. You might have to wear it for our denim live show.
Yeah, whatever I have to do. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get this thing tailored soon. So maybe I'll do a meet and greet in the next couple of weeks. Everybody could see me with my Curtis Martin dress, and then from there, I think by the time week 1 hits, the Curtis Martin jersey will not be a dress anymore.
Okay.
I wanted to put that out for fans. But any regrets for you, Rick? Any regrets for you?
We went to a Schaumburg Boomers game, Frontier League baseball, and they actually pulled us down on field. And they it's aerosol can races, like the hot dog races. It's like a big suit that you put on, but they're spray cans. And we went out there and we ran hard. And our friend that we were with, and I don't know if she watches JMR or not, but she had one job to take pictures and video of us. And so my regret is that she did not do that. So I'll throw the picture up. We have one picture that one of the people took of us, and that's it. That's all the footage that we have.
Oh yeah, I got to see that. Hey, you know what that means? You got to go back to another game then. That's all.
Absolutely, it's a great time. but I guess my regret is that I turned on the afterburners and won the race, and there's no proof of it.
Oh boy.
So I do have to say on the Jets, I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid on your boy, Breece Hall.
Okay.
I got into my projections, and I think this kid might be a top 20 fantasy running back. And that makes me a little uncomfortable. But then I went back and watched some of his game footage, and I'm starting to buy it from the Cyclone.
I mean, what's there not to like? Like the offensive line's improved this year. If Wilson could take that jump, there's no reason why Breece Hall can't be what you just said. There's no reason, in my opinion.
My rankings have him at 14 for Q&W.
Yeah.
And
hopefully, that's maybe Luke's listening, but hopefully nobody else is. At least for this episode, we don't want any players. Man, you never know. They might be like, Jets, nah, no way.
yeah, especially this far into the episode. I feel like by this point, it's only Jets and Mets fans listening.
Well, if anybody's listening from QNW, hey, I'm willing to bet some money. So if you
There you
want to
go.
listen, let's go. Let's do it.
So I know we just had pretty much a Mets episode, but with the All-Star break coming up, we might have to talk about Mets All-Stars year to date. So we'll definitely hit you guys back with some programming notes and let you know if it's going to be more Jets or more Mets. But that's the next big sport event on the horizon is the All-Star break. Are any of your boys going to do the home run derby this year?
I gotta look. I haven't really paid attention to the last day or two, but as of now, I don't think Alonso has gotten an invite. I mean, he is back-to-back champions, two-time champion, and I think he is willing to defend his title.
He seems the type.
Yeah, I think he wants to. He likes the game. And the cool thing about Alonso, like in the past, you've had players who like it kind of messes up their swing. I know like Ryan Howard, I feel like back in the day might have been one. Bobby Abreu, a couple guys like that. I just remember when I was younger, just, them not having a great second half. But Alonso hasn't really slowed down in his production. So I feel like he knows how to swing where, it's not affecting then his restart up for the second half of the year. So I'd love to see him in it again.
It'd be great. It'd be great to see. I'd like them to do an all champions edition. I don't know if there's enough guys left in the league.
I'll tell you what, like it'd be like him and Aaron Judge right now. I think Judge has like 25, 26. I don't know how much. He's crushing it too. They're both at the top of their game right now, but it would be cool to see both of them in that game.
It would. Where's the game this year?
Rivalry also. It's in LA. The Dodgers are hosting, so
That's a cool stadium too.
yeah, it's all right. I've never been there, so I can't judge on it.
I used to watch a lot of Dodgers when I was living in Ohio because the games would come on so late I could fall asleep to them.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have there's like Dodgers like burned into my brain.
No, it's a historical stadium. I'm more so now like I like the newer stadiums. It's just nicer and the amenities are better and the concourses. You could fit more than two people wide on the concourses. Concourses. I can't say concourse right now. Say that 3 times fast. But yeah, I'll have to go out there one of these days and check it out. It's close by to me, so and I love going to ballparks.
That's an easy flight from Phoenix.
Yeah, right there. Probably an hour.
All right. Well, hey, we have a new show coming out on the channel in the next week or so here. It's Champagne and Thorns. It's going to be a roundtable bachelorette show. Since we are entering bachelorette season here, check the links. There'll be a link to our Fantasy Bachelor League down at the bottom. And then make sure you're watching Heritage Cooking. It's our cooking show, comes out about once a month. Jason, you and we're going to try to do a live show 4th of July weekend.
Yes, sir.
And our last subscription drive got us up over 50, so we can live stream Instagram and YouTube.
Might have to do a live stream. Let's do it.
So yeah. look for that too. It'll be all over the Instagram pages. And we'll see what kind of content we can pull together for that.
I'm sure it'll be good.
Thank you for joining us again on Jets, Mets, and Regrets. Jason, you want to send us home?
I will. All right, everybody, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Jets.
Jets.
So
man, you're gonna get me on this year, man. I'm gonna be a Jets fan.
We'll see you all next time.
Take it easy.